Outdoor weddings can be absolutely beautiful and they usually work out really great, but there are a few things that you'll want to consider to make sure that your big day doesn't have any major hiccups and that you and your guests can really fully enjoy the experience. Hey blushing brides, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kyle James. Really quick, if you aren't already, be sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my new wedding planning videos. I post new videos every single Wednesday. All right, let's talk about having a wedding outdoors. If you are or you are considering getting married outdoors, please give this video a thumbs up and let me know. Here's my list of 10 things that you need to consider if you are having an outdoor wedding. Number 1 is rain. Do not ignore the rain. Do not ignore the possibility of rain. I know a lot of brides are like, well, if I don't have a rain plan, then it's not gonna happen, or we'll figure it out when it gets here. But you'll feel so much better about life if you just have a rain plan and it's a plan that you actually like. Some things that you really need to consider here are A, obviously making a rain plan. B, you need to find out what your venue's rain policy is. Some venues will make the call for you if you don't make the call yourself. So you might not even have an option to move the wedding inside. They might just do it based on whatever is in your contract. So just make sure you know what's in the contract and that you discuss this beforehand. The other piece that is greatly impacted by rain is your DJ or your band. Know their rain policy. I have had a wedding where it was raining. It was not raining that bad, but it was starting to sprinkle and the band broke down and would not play for the ceremony. The whole crowd was singing the wedding march and it was really beautiful and actually a really great experience. But that's not a surprise that you want to have on the day of if you do decide that you'll hurry up and get married, like if it's sprinkling or something, and then you don't have any music. Also, you might want to check with your DJ or your band to make sure that they don't need a tent. Some of them might bring their own. Some of them you can rent a tent for them and just make sure that you have it covered in case it rains so that you can still get married outside if that's something that you really want to do. So just be sure that you're checking your contracts with your venue and your entertainment so that you know what it looks like if it does rain. The next thing you need to consider if you are having an outdoor wedding is the extreme temperatures, whether it's hot or cold. If it is going to be cold or there's a possibility that it could be a little chilly, you will want to have heaters and blankets available. And then if it is going to be hot, you want to make sure that your guests aren't just sitting there sweating. So I recommend doing fans. You can even do paper fans. It doesn't seem like it, but those do actually make a big difference. And also, I highly recommend having water somewhere right near your ceremony so that they can cool off and have a drink while they're waiting for you to walk down the aisle. You might also want to have a plan here if it's just too hot or just too cold to move your ceremony or your reception inside, especially if you're getting married somewhere like Colorado where you have no idea what you're going to get like in October. So just have a plan and know what your options are. That will save you a ton of stress on your wedding day and it will also make the experience much more enjoyable for both you and your guests. The next thing to consider if you are having an outdoor wedding is bugs. Oh my gosh, you want to make sure you are covered if you are getting married near water. If you're getting married near water, there is a good chance there are going to be a ton of mosquitoes. Mosquitoes can have a really big impact on the experience of your big day. You don't want your guests or your bridal party or yourself fighting off mosquitoes in the middle of your ceremony. And if the reception's going to be outside as well, you don't want people outside getting eaten alive the whole night. I recommend offering bug spray. There's also little like towelettes you can get that you can hand out before the ceremony if you need to, that guests can just like wipe on them really quick, and so you don't have like huge clouds of bug spray being sprayed at your wedding on everyone's nice clothes. So that's just a little thing that you can do that can make a really, really big impact. The other thing that can cause major issues with bugs is if there are animals at your venue. There are a lot of cool venues that are like rustic barns, or maybe you're getting married at the zoo or something like that. But where there are animals, there are flies, and flies are miserable to deal with, especially if you are having an outdoor reception. So if it is really important to you to have like an outdoor reception and have your entire wedding outside, I recommend going with something that is not going to have animals present, so that you don't have to worry about the flies all night. The next thing that you definitely need to consider if you're having an outdoor wedding is the wind. Oh my gosh, so many times I have been fighting the wind at ceremonies. If you're having your ceremony outside and there's a chance that it could be windy, I would recommend against any paper like flyers or programs or anything. This is not something that you want to be fighting. Also, if you are going to have your reception outside, or at least your like cocktail hour with your escort cards, be sure that your escort cards cannot blow away. There's nothing worse than sitting there like fighting the escort cards, trying to get them to the guests before the wind blows them away. If your reception is outside, be sure that the escort cards that are on the table are like tucked into napkins, or that they are weighted. Make sure that everything is weighted, especially if you do like some frames sitting up or anything like that. Just make sure that it's all taken care of. Also, if you have a bunch of draping, you'll want to make sure that it is tied down like near the bottom, so that you don't have to worry about it flying everywhere. The next very important factor that you want to consider if you are getting married outside is your shoes and your bridesmaid shoes. If you are walking down a grass or a dirt aisle, you do not want to be wearing stilettos. I don't care how amazing they are. They always look ridiculous if you are sinking into the ground and struggling to walk down the aisle. It is so not worth it. If you do have an amazing pair of stilettos that you want to wear, and you do have a grassy aisle or something, maybe put those on for the reception, but choose a different pair of shoes, like a pair of wedges or something, for the ceremony. It's just not worth it to struggle down the aisle. It does not look good, not a good look, and it's stressful. The next thing you want to consider if you're having an outdoor wedding is sunscreen. You do not want to sit there and get fried during your ceremony and during your photos. That is just not going to be a good look, and you're going to be totally uncomfortable. So it's great to just apply a little bit of sunscreen while you're getting ready to make sure that you're covered and you're not going to get burnt, especially if you're somebody who burns easily. And then you might also want to do the little sunscreen towelettes, or offer a little sunscreen for your guests as well if you know that it's going to be very sunny or very hot. The next thing that you must consider if you are having an outdoor wedding is the sound. A lot of outdoor venues have sounds that are uncontrollable. So whether that's road noise, it might be like a waterfall or whatever, or maybe other people are around. If there's any chance of your ceremony being drowned out by other sounds, you'll want to make sure that you have mics on your ceremony, just so that everybody can hear and they can actually be there with you and enjoy the moment, and people aren't like, what are you saying? I've seen that happen one too many times. There's like amazing water feature or something at a venue, and then it just completely drowns out the couple's voices. I kind of recommend just getting a microphone anyway, at least having your efficient mic so that your voices kind of carry into the microphone. But especially if you're getting married outside, you want to make sure that you have the sound covered so that everybody can hear you. The next thing that you'll want to consider if you're having an outdoor wedding is umbrellas or coverings. So if there's a chance of rain or really hot sun, you want to make sure that your guests have somewhere they can go to hide out if they need to, especially if they are sitting there waiting for you to walk down the aisle or something like that. You just want to make sure that everyone's comfortable. So offering umbrellas is great if there's a good chance of rain, or just having somewhere like near the ceremony where people can get out of the weather if they need to. The next thing to consider if you are getting married outside is uneven terrain. I already kind of mentioned this when I said you need to make sure you have the right shoes. But the other important thing that this impacts is your older guests. If you have older guests who might have trouble walking, You want to make sure that you have somebody to escort them, or maybe like a golf cart or something to help them if there's going to be uneven terrain. You don't want to have your like 90-year-old grandma having to hike through a bunch of rocks or grassy hills. So be sure that you consider the older folks and make sure that there's somebody there to help them if needed. And then also obviously make sure that if you know there's uneven terrain, that you pick the right shoes for yourself and for the bridal party, so that nobody bites the dust while they're walking down the aisle, because that would be super embarrassing. It would be funny and it would be a good story later, but you just don't want to do that. So make sure that you walk the ceremony area when you are doing your venue walkthrough, and pay attention to the terrain and make sure that it's going to be okay for both you and your older guests. The next thing that you really need to consider if you're having an outdoor wedding is restrooms. Where are the restrooms? If you're getting married outside, be sure that you consider the restrooms. When you have like 150 to 200 people in an area, they are going to need a restroom, and sometimes this just slips brides' minds. But you want to make sure that you have a restroom available for them to use, as well as signage marking where the restroom is, so that you're not answering the question of where's the bathroom on your wedding day. You want to make sure that it's readily available and nearby. Also, you want to know when you're booking your venue, if you're going to book an outdoor venue, be sure you ask them about the restroom options. You don't want to find out later that you have to have your guests use an outhouse. That's not an after the fact detail that's very fun to find out. So be sure you're asking that question when you're booking your outdoor venue. You want to make sure that restrooms are available, because this will definitely impact the experience for you and your guests. So yes, the outdoors can be a little bit unpredictable, but if you just take these things into consideration and make sure that you're covered, it's going to be amazing. I hope this video was helpful. Please give it a big thumbs up if it was. Also, be sure to share it with your other bride friends who may be having outdoor weddings. Also, be sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss any of my new wedding planning videos. I post new videos every single Wednesday, so be sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss those, and we'll see you next time. Happy planning!